Right, guys, January 2026, a brand new year. And I want to start this video off by saying one thing. January doesn't fail people, people fail January. Every single year, for years on years, millions of men say, this is gonna be my year. This is my year, I'm gonna make it happen. But then by February, they're completely back to square one. Same body, same habits, and the same old excuses. Now, the uncomfortable truth that you probably don't want to hear is that if nothing fundamentally changes in January, in the new year, then 2026 is going to look exactly the same as how your 2025 looked. But not because you're lazy, it's just because you're relying on motivation instead of actual structure to get you through these first few months. You're working 50, 60, 70-hour weeks, so the last thing you need is absolute chaos. We need to strip things back. We need to make it simple and we need to make it effective. So grab a pen, write down this, because I'm going to give you so much freaking sauce in this video that you're going to make this year a year to remember. But if you don't, it's going to be another year to forget. Now, first off, why do people fail January? 90% of people who set out these New Year's resolutions, they tell themselves that this year is going to be my year. Motivation is super high after the Christmas period. But instead, most guys approach January like this, telling themselves, I'm going to train every day. I'm going to get my 10, 12, 15,000 steps in. I'm going to eat super clean. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning. But doing that is just setting yourself up for complete burnout. Like, what do you expect? If you've come in from a very, very hectic December, you've had one big final push with your work, with your career, with your business before the Christmas period, but you've given yourself too much slack and you've completely given up on the healthy habits which do contribute towards your goals. Working around the clock, you only have limited time. So why are you trying to be in the gym 2 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, trying to eat super clean? It's just not realistic, especially if you've come from a busy month in December where your lifestyle looks completely different. Your diet didn't align with your goals, your training definitely didn't because you just dropped off for the last 2 weeks, and everything else was just completely out of sync. Your lifestyle didn't match the man that you're trying to be now. As human beings, we need to gradually bring things into our life. So you need a system which simplifies it and brings the healthier habits into your life instead of the bad ones. Because that 9% of men who do win in January, they're not the most motivated, they're not the most disciplined, but they just have the best preparation. They have things to fall back on when life does get in the way, because it's going to. It's January. It's always going to be a busy time of the year. They don't ask themselves, do I feel like doing it today? No. They don't ask that. What they do ask themselves is, what does the system say? What can I do with minimal time to actually make it a successful day and turn that into a good week and a good month? Now, grab a pen and I want you to write down these 3 non-negotiable habits that you need to start doing if you want to make January different and you want to make 2026 a fucking success. Habit number 1 is going to be fixing your mornings. If your mornings are chaotic, your life is going to be chaotic. It's the most important part of the day. You have to set the intention. Your January morning rule needs to be simple. Wake up, start moving, expose yourself to some sunlight, and do something else intentional before you pick up your phone. And it's so simple. It could just be a 10-minute walk, some push-ups, some stretching, some meditation, something which is going to align you and your body, your mindset, in a way where you're ready to attack the day. I've been doing this for such a long time. I've implemented a morning routine, solidified it into my life. So every single morning I wake up, I do my push-ups, I do a morning walk, I take a shower, I go hot to cold, and then I get out, I do a little bit of journaling, and I plan my day ahead. I have days where if I have one odd day where I'm busy and I'm not at home and I haven't got access to my journal and I don't actually do my morning routine, I feel lost. I feel so lost. Having a morning routine in your life will genuinely change your life, I promise you. When I do this, what I'm doing is I'm tuning my brainwaves into a much more higher frequency. I'm increasing myself from a low vibration, a low, foggy, slow vibration from the moment that you wake up, and I'm actually turning that into a high, positive vibration. So I'm ready to attack the day. I'm more positive. So any task that I have to deal with later on in the day that feels like a bit of a mission, it's a little bit chaotic, it's not going to feel as difficult because I've already done something in the morning which feels hard. And I've earned that self-respect, so the rest of the day doesn't feel as bad. It's a non-negotiable. Wake up in the morning, get some movement in, expose yourself to some sunlight, and just do something where you can actually align your body and your mindset up in a way where you're ready to attack the day. It's that simple, don't overcomplicate it. When you do this, you are proving a point to yourself every single morning that you are somebody who acts before reacting. If you react, if you wake up in the morning, you scroll on your phone and you do all these things which are just completely frying your dopamine, anything else that you do throughout the day is going to feel hard. It's going to feel horrible. and you're not going to have the motivation to push through January into February, March, and continue. So do something every single morning. Have a 20-30 minute morning routine which is dedicated to you and you only, so you feel proud of the man that you see back in the mirror after you've done your morning routine. I promise you, I've been doing this for such a long time and it's changed my self-identity. The second habit is going to be training like a busy man, training like a busy professional, and not a flipping influencer. You do not have all the time in the world. You are limited to 3 to 4 hours a week of training at most. So why are you trying to spend 2 hours a day in the gym, 5, 6, 7 days a week? It's not going to work. But not only that, with the stress and the cortisol that your body carries from your busy workload and the amount of responsibilities that you have, you need to bring those stress levels down. So if you're putting your body under unnecessary stress and not giving it the recovery it needs, how on earth do you expect to actually get past January without burning out? All you need is to strip it down to just 3 to 4 structured sessions a week which apply progressive overload. If you're walking into the gym, you're winging your sessions, you're trying to remember what you did the previous week and trying to remember what weight you lifted, then you're not going to be able to make progress, because you cannot guess your lifts, you cannot guess your progression. If you're guessing, you're going to make 50% of the progress that you could be making if you had the data and if you were progressing consistently. So like I said, progressive overload, full focus, and just make sure that you're training to or close to failure. You need to be breaking down the muscle fibers, putting them under mechanical stress so you can break down the fibers so they can actually have a reason to grow back thicker and stronger, and make sure that you're sticking to a block for 5 to 6 weeks. If you're doing the same workouts that you were doing in 2025, doing the same movements, your body is going to have no real reason to grow, right? Because what's happening is when you do the same movements month to month, some guys do the same movements for years. When you do the same thing for such a long period of time, you hit a plateau, because your body is saying to yourself, you're like, well, I'm not actually giving myself a reason to grow. Like, you're not giving me a reason to grow. And in order to build sufficient muscles so you can boost your metabolism and drop that body fat, you have to focus on building muscle. And the way that we're going to do that is by tracking our lifts, applying progressive overload, and training to fucking failure. Stop training like a bitch, stop doing the easy workouts, and instead make January the month where you actually put yourself out of your comfort zone in the gym. Not 6 days a week, not 7 days a week, 3 to 4 structured sessions. That is it. Close to failure, progressive overload, and just track your lifts. It's as simple as that. You track your data, you're not going to have so much chaos going on in your head because you have the data there. So there's less things that you have to worry about. If you're managing teams, if you're managing a lot more stress, and then you're in the gym and you have all these responsibilities, but yet at the same time, you're trying to remember what weights you were lifting, how many reps you did, what exercise to go to next, it's just a load of chaos. So to make it easier, track your lifts, follow a structured program, and I promise you, you're going to be hitting PBs all round. You're just going to make so much more progress than you've ever made before. And just remember that consistency will beat intensity every single time. Your goal in January isn't to just destroy yourself. It's to build the momentum and actually build the progression without feeling burnout. Guys, if you can train consistently in January, you'll train consistently all year. But in order to achieve that, follow a structured system 3 to 4 times a week, apply the progressive overload, and track your lifts. You're going to be so much more satisfied. Now, thirdly, you can probably guess what's coming up. It's going to be diet. You need to be following some form of system and following a plan. It doesn't have to be an exact meal plan, but you just need consistent nutrition and to be eating in a way that you can actually sustain through February, March, right? If you're following a plan that you don't enjoy, you're following a plan that requires you to be cooking 4 or 5 times a day, then again, like the training, you're not going to be able to stick to it. Your life's going to feel like hell and you're going to want to quit by week 2. January diets fail because they're simply punishment based. You don't need 0 carbs, 0 social life, or perfect meals. You need to enjoy your fucking life when you're doing it, otherwise you're not going to make it past Jan. Carbs are essential. You need them for your fuel. Not only your fuel, but your recovery. You just need to be eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to allow you to recover properly, increase your energies, build that lean muscle, but also keep you fuller throughout the day to kill off the cravings and increase those healthier habits. You need a calorie deficit and a structured system which includes all of your food groups. You need your proteins, you need your carbs, you need your fats. Now, typically speaking, I prefer to go for the 40-40-20 split. I would go high protein, high carb, low fat. The reason for that is because if you're on a journey, if you're super busy and you're carrying all these responsibilities, you're gonna need your energy, right? And if you're cutting out carbs, you're gonna be miserable, life is gonna be hell, and your training sessions are gonna be absolute misery. You're not gonna be able to push heavy weight, you're not gonna wanna be in there longer than 20 minutes, and you're just not gonna have energy throughout the entire day. You need carbs in your diet, please do not cut them out. Now, if your goal is to lose weight or drop body fat, this is what you need to do in terms of your calories. Find out your total body weight in pounds. Once you found out your total body weight in pounds, you're gonna times that number by 15. Once you've got that number, you're gonna subtract 300 to 500 from that number, and they are gonna be the total amount of calories that you eat on a daily basis. No man should be eating below 2,000 calories. You need your energy, you need your fuel. Not only your fuel, but you're gonna need it to recover and actually build that lean muscle mass. Guys, if your nutrition feels like you're suffering, then you're already planning a relapse. Now, let's move on to lifestyle. This is such an underrated factor that people really don't take seriously when trying to go through a transformation. It's the biggest one that people miss, but it's also going to be the biggest thing that plays the role in the way that you look, the way that you perform, and the way that you feel. Now, just remember that you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards and your environment. If your house is chaotic, your schedule is reactive, and your evenings are unstructured, then January is just going to slip through your fingers like you wouldn't even know it. You need to start implementing default behaviors into your life to make this whole thing a lot easier. For example, same training days, same meals, same windows, and same shut off time for going to bed and turning your phone off. With your schedule, with your calendar, look at your work, look at your career. Everything is in your calendar. Everything is scheduled out just to make the process a lot easier so your head is just not one big kerfuffle. And you need to do the same thing with your journey. You cannot just guesstimate everything and hope for the best. You need the structure and you need the timings. You need to stick to the same thing that works at the same time, same days, and just make sure that it makes it as easy as possible for you. Now, the mindset shift. This is the killer part. This is the biggest part that is going to turn you from where you are now to help you become to that level 10 version of yourself, the dream version of you. Stop asking yourself, how do I feel today? Instead, start asking yourself, what would the man that I'm trying to become do? What would the man that I'm trying to become do in this situation, and what habits does he need to do? What habits are aligned with the goals that he wants to achieve? And once you can understand that and realize that you cannot let your emotions dictate your actions, and if you can just follow through, stay disciplined, and do what you need to get done, I promise you, you're going to make more progress within the next month, 2-3 months than you'd have seen in the last 5 years. The reason why 90% don't achieve what they want to achieve is because they let their emotions dictate their actions. One really big thing that changed for me, that really helped me become the person that I'm becoming, the person and the transformation that I've been through, which I also implement with my coaching with my clients, is this one simple thing. Detach from the outcome. Detach from the final outcome, thinking, why hasn't it happened? Why aren't I there yet? Why am I still fat? Why am I still overweight? And why am I not in killer shape yet? Instead, just focus on the habits that you need to align yourself with and the habits that you need to do every single day in order to be the man that you want to be. Because that level 10 version of you, that dream version of you, let's say me for example, that level 10 version of Alfie, he doesn't let one single emotion in a day dictate how his entire day goes. Because he understands that one single emotion only lasts anywhere between 60 to 90 seconds. It's insane how so many people, and I know it's easier said than done to ignore your emotions, but how so many people can just let one single emotion dictate how the next few years go. Because you have to look at the bigger picture here. One single emotion can dictate how your day goes. And then one day can turn into a bad week. Bad week turns into a bad month turns into a bad year turns into an entire decade. One little emotion, one little decision like that can really play a detrimental effect on either the progress that you do make or the progress that you don't make. So my biggest advice to you right now is heading into this new year, everything is going to feel a little bit overwhelming, but please just choose progress over comfort. And if you're feeling down or you have this emotion in the morning where you're not feeling yourself and the weight and the way that you see yourself in the mirror is really getting to you and it's really putting you off and you just want to go on a big binge, do not let one single emotion like that dictate how your day goes. And if you're somebody who struggles with binge eating, right? And you find yourself walking to the cupboard, especially if you work home, you find yourself walking to the cupboard and going on a big binge a lot of the time, but you can't really understand why it's happening. Do this. Grab a pen and paper and just write down how you feel. Understand why this is happening. You need to think, what is the trigger for this binge? What is the actual emotional trigger? Why do I want to eat this? Why do I really feel the need to go on a big binge? And once you can understand that, which a lot of the time the emotional trigger is stress, which is probably what you go through and you might find yourself being the trigger, understand the trigger, but also the reaction. How do you react? Majority of the time, people's reaction is going to be to go and eat, right? Binge eat, because it gives you that dopamine, it gives you that satisfaction. But if you're feeling this in the moment and you really want to go on a big binge, just stop for a second. Have a bit of water and just sit there with your emotions and write down how you're feeling. I promise you it's going to change the game. And the more you can practice that, the more you can sit with your own thoughts, it's going to change everything for you. People go on these big binges, but they don't actually sit with themselves for a minute and even reflect about how they're feeling. Now, when you feel motivation starting to wear off, just know that it's not going to come and magically land on your lap again. You're going to need to earn it. Motivation comes through action and putting in the work. Once you can prove a point to yourself that you can do things, that motivation is going to come back because you're going to realize that you're not actually as far away from your goal as you thought you were. The small, clear difference between men who change their life and men who don't, it's not talent, it's not genetics, it's just who keeps going even when the excitement fades. Now, lifestyle. This is the biggest thing that people miss when trying to go through a transformation, right? If you think about this, a guy hires a PT, a personal trainer, he's with them for 1 to 2 hours a week, okay? Just think how many hours there are on a week. I think there's around 160 hours, if I'm not wrong, correct me on that, but there's around 160 hours in a week. If you're just focusing on those couple of hours in the gym a week, how do you expect that to cut it and actually change your life? You've got to focus on the other 23 hours of the day if you want to achieve a real transformation, because you have a lot of responsibilities, you have a lot of stress. That 1 hour in the gym is not going to cut it, because 5% of your calorie expenditure comes from exercise and in the gym. 95% of your calorie expenditure comes from what you do throughout the day. So not only are we going to be focusing on building lean muscle mass in the gym to boost your metabolism, but you've got to focus on your lifestyle habits. You have to focus on what you're doing around the day, which is going to contribute to the way that you feel, the way that you look, and the way that you perform. Just remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards and your environment. So if your house is chaotic, you've got a family, you've got a partner, you've got a lot of things going on, if your schedule is reactive and everything is just up in the air and anything could happen at any point, then January is just going to slip through your fingers. You need that structure and you need the habits throughout the day, which are going to encourage more progression as you get further into your journey. Now, everything that I've just told you there will not matter if you do not implement this one thing. You're starting in January for a reason. It's a resolution. You want to become a better, fitter, stronger, healthier, best version of you. But the reason why 90% of people fall off and they don't achieve the success that they want year after year is because they don't have a deep enough why and a reasoning behind their goal. The one thing that helps me achieve my goals year after year is because I have a deeper emotional connection to my goals. I have a deeper reason as to why I want to achieve it. Most people just want to feel more confident because they have a holiday booked for the summer holidays, but unfortunately, that's why they don't succeed with their goals. It's because it's not a big enough reason as to wanting to get in shape. If you truly want to make January a success and make 2026 your year, you need to understand why you want to get in shape. Why do you want the confidence? Why do you want a six-pack? Is it for the people around you? Is it for your child? What are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? Once you can understand this, and you can implement this and understand a deeper reasoning as to why you want to get in shape, is the moment that everything will change for you, I promise. Why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? And what type of man do you want to become in the next few years? Once you understand this and you have the deeper why, and you have a deeper emotional connection behind your why, is the moment that everything will change. But you cannot just go with a holiday. You cannot just go because you want to feel a little bit more confident. It's got to be deeper. There needs to be a real reason as to wanting to get in shape. Now, if you follow through here and actually win January, Here's what happens. You prove you can actually keep promises to yourself, your confidence rises, your energy improves, and your standards shift. And once your standards shift, you will not go back. Just remember that January isn't the entire year, but it sets the tone for it all. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I've said this before and failed, then good. That means you're self-aware and it's time to do it differently. Start building your structure, lower your friction, and focus on identity, not motivation. And if you want help structuring this properly, with training, nutrition, habits, lifestyle, extra accountability built around your life and not some unrealistic plan where you're training 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week, then I'll leave a link below where you can apply to work with me one-on-one. We can jump on a call, we can put a game plan together. So 2026 is finally your year, brother. Now is not the time to rely on motivation and just hope for the best. You are running out of time. You have a busy life. You have the responsibilities. Why not grab it by the throat and become the best version of yourself? If you want to have a chat, the link is below. Just fill it out or drop me a DM on Instagram. We'll have a little chat, discuss your goals, your future, what you're struggling with right now, and put a game plan together so you can finally achieve your goals and become the man that you want to be. January never needs more hype. It just needs a better system. 2026 doesn't need to be your year. It just needs to be the year that you finally stop starting over and actually become the man that you want to become.